Ekamaksharam Hridhi Nirantaram Bhasvate Swayam Likyate Katham Hridaya Guhara Madhye Kevalam Brahma Matram Yahamahamiti Sakshat Atmarupena Bhakti Hridhi Vishamanasasvam Chinvata Majjatava Bhavana Chalanarodat Atmanishto Bhavatvam. Arunachala and the Sage of Arunachala, from Cherished Memories by T.R. Kanakama. Bhagavan and the Arunachala hill were one and the same. Bhagavan was always in a state of oneness with the Self, Sahajatmanishta. To him, it was the most natural thing to carry on with everyday activities without ever wavering from that highest state of absorption in the Self. Numerous incidents in Bhagavan's life bear testimony to this fact. In fact, the last verse of Navamani Male, the necklace of 9 gems, Bhagavan sings, "You are my father and my mother, you who brought me into this world, O Arunachala." Sometimes Bhagavan would be gazing at something through the window in the hall. At those times, Bhagavan's gaze would be steady and unwavering. Once a devotee asked Bhagavan, "What is it that you are looking at, Bhagavan? Is it the light or is it Arunachaleshwara?" To this query, Bhagavan replied, "Is that what you want to know? I am looking at myself. There is, after all, nothing other than myself." Thus Bhagavan has stated the essence of the theory of non-duality, Abheda Bhava. After the mother's passing away, Bhagavan would come down from Skandashramam every day and spend some time near the spot where the mother's mortal remains had been enshrined. One day, Bhagavan came down as usual, but did not return to Skandashramam. The devotees came down looking for him. Upon finding him near the mother's samadhi, they requested him to return to Skandashramam. But Bhagavan said, "Some power has brought me here. It was not my decision, but the divine will." From that time onwards, Bhagavan stayed in that spot at the foot of the hill, and Ramana Ashram came up there. At times, Bhagavan's words and actions would make us wonder whether he is a bhakta, devotee, melting with love for Arunachala, rather than a dispassionate, detached jnani. Once, during the Deepam festival, the deity from the temple was being taken in a ceremonial procession around the hill. As the procession went past Ramana Ashramam, devotees of Bhagavan offered coconuts, flowers, and fruits to the Lord and performed arti. Bhagavan was on his way to the cowshed at the time. Hearing the temple drums, he came and sat on the small bridge near the water tap. One of the devotees brought the arti plate with the glowing camphor which had been offered to Arunachaleshwara. Bhagavan took the sacred ash from the plate and, applying it on his forehead, remarked softly, "The Son is beholden to the Father." As he said this, Bhagavan's voice was choked with emotion. His eyes glittered with unshed tears of ecstasy. This incident seems to illustrate the saying, absolute knowledge, jnana, is no different from absolute devotion, bhakti. Bhagavan's love for Arunachala was so deep that he never left it for even a moment. He never tired of going around the hill and visiting and revisiting his favorite spots on and around the hill. He would sit for hours, silently gazing at the peak of the hill, totally enraptured by the sight. Every year on Kartike Deepam day, Bhagavan would gaze at the hill through a pair of binoculars, his attention totally focused on the spot at which the sacred Deepam would appear. The very mention of the name Arunachala would bring a special glow to Bhagavan's face. Bhagavan told us of the numerous miracles which took place on the hill. He told us about his own life on the hill, the various caves dotted all over the hill, the greatness of the banyan tree on the northern slope of the highest peak, about the siddhas who dwell on the hill, and about the priceless herbs that grow on it that cure even incurable diseases. He often remarked, "There is not a single spot on the hill that my feet have not trod." To ordinary imperfect human minds and eyes, the Arunachala hill seems to be made up of rocks and stones, but to Bhagavan it was the manifestation of divine knowledge, the embodiment of the self. One should not forget that Bhagavan himself was the Arunachala hill. This makes it even more remarkable that he should be so fascinated by another manifestation of himself. Bhagavan's adoration of the hill is just one facet of the master-pupil relationship. Bhagavan is very eloquent in his praise of Arunachala. He often told his devotees that the hill had elevated him from the level of an ordinary human being and shown him the way to union with the self. Bhagavan's love and reverence for Arunachala are so great that his songs of praise of Arunachala have a special sweetness of their own. Bhagavan never tired of extolling the greatness of the hill. On various occasions, he has stated that Arunachala is the most potent manifestation of Shiva. On summer evenings, Bhagavan would spend long hours reclining on an easy chair on the veranda outside the hall, quietly gazing at the hill. At such times, Bhagavan's face seemed to take on a special glow, and his eyes shone even more brilliantly than usual, almost as though Bhagavan was marveling at his own unique good fortune, being in such close proximity to the Arunachala hill. Bhagavan did not have any guru in the conventional sense. He had no human guru, but Bhagavan has clearly stated the identity of his guru. In Ramana verse 19, Bhagavan says that Arunachala has wiped out all his faults and taken possession of him. The greatest error is said to be arrogance, and the true guru is one who destroys the ego of the disciple. Bhagavan says that Arunachala is the destroyer of his ego and acknowledges him as his guru. In another stanza, the 20th stanza of Aksharamanamale, Bhagavan says, Arunachala, there are many in this world who are on the lookout for easy prey. Their eyes are like sharp swords which can pierce through all defenses of an ordinary mortal. Please take me into your care, Arunachala, and protect me from such unscrupulous people. Here the reference is to false seers who with deceptive looks and cunning speech try to ensnare the unwary seeker and lead him deeper and deeper into ignorance. Only the real guru can show the way to light. The false ones only lead one into darkness, the darkness of the abyss. Aksharamanamale, garland of exquisite verses, mirrors all human emotions like love, humor, valor, anger, etc. However, the dominant mood is Shringara, love, romance. The romantic symbolism is evident throughout the work. The last verse, in which Arunachala is requested to bestow his garland of divine grace on Bhagavan and accept Bhagavan's garland of verses in return, is a direct reference to the most important ritual in marriage, the exchange of garlands between the bride and the groom. This exchange of garlands is symbolic of the joyful union of two human beings. Bhagavan is asking Arunachala to solemnize the union of the jiva, the individual soul, with the para, the Almighty, resulting in everlasting bliss. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. This passage I will read is taken from Talks by Munagala Venkataramila. Devotee, how shall I reach the self? Maharshi, there is no reaching the self. If the self were to be reached, it would mean that the self is not now and here, but that it should be got anew. What is got afresh will also be lost. So it will be impermanent. What is not permanent is not worth striving for. So I say, the self is not reached. You are the self. You are already that. The fact is that you are ignorant of your blissful state. Ignorance supervenes and draws a veil over the pure bliss. Attempts are directed only to remove this ignorance. This ignorance consists in wrong knowledge. The wrong knowledge consists in the false identification of the self with the body, the mind, etc. This false identity must go, and there remains the self. Devotee, how is that to happen? Maharshi, by inquiry into the self. Devotee, it is difficult. Can I realize the self, Maharaj? Kindly tell me. It looks so difficult. Maharshi, you are already the self. Therefore, realization is common to everyone. Realization knows no difference in the aspirants. This very doubt, can I realize, or the feeling, I have not realized, are the obstacles. Be free from this also. Devotee, but there should be the experience. Unless I have the experience, how can I be free from these afflicting thoughts? Maharshi, these are also in the mind. They are there because you have identified yourself with the body. If this false identity drops away, ignorance vanishes and truth is revealed. Devotee, yes, I feel it difficult. They are disciples of Bhagavan who have had his grace and realized without any considerable difficulty. I too wish to have that grace. Being a woman and living at a long distance, I cannot avail myself of Maharshi's holy company as much as I would wish and as often as I would. Possibly I may not be able to return. I request Bhagavan's grace. When I am back in my place, I want to remember Bhagavan. May Bhagavan be pleased to grant my prayer. Maharshi, where are you going? You are not going anywhere. Even supposing you are the body, has your body come from Lucknow to Tiruvannamalai? You had simply sat in the car and one convenience or another had moved. And finally, you say that you have come here. The fact is that you are not the body. The self does not move. The world moves in it. You are only what you are. There is no change in you. So then, even after what looks like departure from here, you are here, and there, and everywhere. These scenes shift. As for grace, grace is within you. If it is external, it is useless. Grace is the self. You are never out of its operation. grace is always there. Devotee, I mean that when I remember your form, my mind should be strengthened and that response should come from your side too. I should not be left to my individual efforts, which are after all only weak. Maharshi, grace is the self. I have already said. If you remember Bhagavan, you are prompted to do so by the self. Is not grace already there? Is grace a moment when grace is not operating in you? Is there a moment when grace is not operating in you? Your remembrance is the forerunner of grace. That is a response. That is a stimulus. That is a self, and that is grace. There is no cause for anxiety. Devotee, can I engage in spiritual practice even remaining in samsara? Maharshi, yes, certainly. One ought to do so. Devotee, is not samsara a hindrance? Do not all the holy books advocate renunciation? Maharshi, samsara is only in your mind. The world does not speak out, saying, I am the world. Otherwise, it must be ever there, not excluding your sleep. Since it is not in sleep, it is impermanent. Being impermanent, it has no stamina. Having no stamina, it is easily subdued by the self. The self alone is permanent. Renunciation is non-identification of the self with the non-self. On the disappearance of ignorance, the non-self ceases to exist. That is true renunciation. Devotee, why did you then leave your home in your yacht? Maharshi, that is my prarabdha, my fate. One's course of conduct in this life is determined by one's prarabdha. My prarabdha is this way. Your prarabdha is that way. Devotee, should I not also renounce? Maharshi, if that has been your prarabdha, the question would not have arisen. Devotee, I should therefore remain in the world and engage in spiritual practice. Well, can I get realization in this life? Maharshi, this has been already answered. You are always the self. Earnest efforts never fail. Success is bound to result. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana.
Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. 22 novembre 1945, après-midi. Dr Srinivasa Rao. Quelqu'un me raconta qu'il avait observé un serpent ramper sur le corps de Bhagavan, quand il séjournait à Skanda Ashram. Bhagavan. Les serpents dressent leur tête, nous regardent dans les yeux et semblent savoir car ils n'ont pas besoin d'avoir peur. Puis ils glissent par-dessus nous. Il ne m'est même pas à l'esprit que je devais faire quoi que ce soit. Plus tard, Bhagavan dit, nous décrivons habituellement la réalité comme Satchi Ananda, être conscience félicité, mais ce n'est pas tout à fait correct. Elle ne peut être vraiment décrite. Nous essayons simplement par cette description de faire comprendre qu'elle n'est ni Asat, non-existence, ni Jada, sans conscience, et qu'elle est dépourvue de toute souffrance. En réalité, nous sommes tous Satchi Ananda, mais nous pensons être asservis et avoir à subir toutes ces souffrances. Pourquoi pensons-nous cela? demandai-je. Pourquoi sommes-nous si ignorants? Bhagavan. Demandez-vous qui est ignorant et vous verrez que vous ne l'avez jamais été, que vous avez toujours été Satchitananda. On fait toutes sortes d'ascèses pour devenir ce qu'on est déjà. Tout effort a pour seul but de se défaire de cette idée erronée que l'on est limité et asservi par les malheurs des samsara. Encore plus tard, Bhagavan dit, l'étincelle du jnana consume facilement toute la création, comme si c'était une montagne de coton. Les millions de mondes construits sur le faible ou inexistant fondement de l'ego s'écroulent quand la bombe atomique du jnana leur tombe dessus. Tous les discours sur l'abandon de soi, c'est comme si on prenait une pincée de sucre d'un Ganesha en sucre et l'offrait au même Ganesha. Vous dites offrir votre corps, l'âme et toutes vos possessions à Dieu. Vous appartenaient-ils avant de les offrir? Au mieux, vous pouvez dire, j'ai supposé à tort jusqu'à maintenant que tout ce qui t'appartient m'appartenait. Maintenant, je comprends que tout est à toi. Je n'agirai plus comme si c'était à moi. Cette connaissance, il n'y a rien à part Dieu ou le soi, que moi et mien n'existe pas et que seul le soi existe. Et jnana. Il n'y a donc pas de différence entre la bhakti et le jnana. La bhakti est la jnana mata, la mère du jnana. Parlant des innombrables chemins des chercheurs de Dieu, Bhagavan dit, chacun devrait avoir la liberté de prendre son propre chemin. Celui seul pour lequel il est fait. Il ne sert à rien de le convertir de force à un autre chemin. Le gourou accompagne le disciple sur le chemin de celui-ci. Et peu à peu, en temps voulu, il le dirigera vers le chemin suprême. Vouloir arrêter une voiture ou la faire changer de direction, car elle roule à toute vitesse, peut avoir des conséquences désastreuses. La conversation porta sur le nom de Dieu, et Bhagavan dit, la Brihadaya Upanishad déclare que Aham, je, est le premier nom de Dieu. La première lettre du sanskrit est A, et la dernière, c'est Ha. Ainsi, Aha comprend tout, du début à la fin. Le mot Ayam signifie ce qui existe, qui est évident, et brille de lui-même. Ayam Atman Aham, tout désigne la même chose. Dans la Bible aussi, je suis est le nom donné à Dieu.
22 November 9045 afternoon. Dr. Srinivasa Rao told the Swami, I have heard from Lord who said he saw it that when Bhagavan was in Skandasrama, a snake once crept over his body. Bhagavan said, snakes raise their hood and look into our eyes, and they seem to know when they need not be afraid, and then they pass over us. It did not strike me either that I should do anything to it. Later, Bhagavan said, even though we usually describe the reality as Shat, Chit, Ananda, even that is not quite a correct description. It cannot really be described. By this description, all that we undergo to make plain is that it is not asad, that is not jada, and that it is free from all pain. Again, Bhagavan says, we are all in reality Sat Chit Ananda, but we imagine we are born and are having all this pain. I ask it, why do we imagine so? Why does this ignorance of Ajna come to us? Bhagavan says, inquire to whom has this ignorance come, and you find it never came to you, and that you have always been that Sat Chit Ananda. One performs all sorts of penance to become what one already is. All effort is simply to get rid of this viparita buddhi, or mistaken impression that one is limited and bound by the law of something. Later, Bhagavan said, this part of jhana will easily consume all creation as if it were a mountain heap of contour, all the crowd of road being built in upon the foundation of the ego. They are toppled down when the atomic bomb of jhana comes down upon them. Bhagavan said, all talk of surrender is like pitching jaggery from the jaggery image of Lord Ganesh, and offering is a naivedya to the same Lord Ganesh. You say you offer your body, soul, and all possession to God. Were they yours that you could offer them? At best you can only say, I falsely imagined till now that all these which are yours, God, were mine. Now I realize they are yours. I shall no more write as if they are mine. And this knowledge that is nothing but God or self, that I and mine don't exist and that only the self exists, is jhana. He added, thus there is no difference between Bhakti and jhana. Bhakti is jhana mata or mother of jhana. Talking of the innumerable ways of different seekers after God, Bhagavan. Each soul be allowed to go his own way, the way for which alone he may be prepared. It will not do to convert him to another path by violence. The Guru will go with the disciple in his own path, and then gradually turn him into the supreme path at the right moment. Suppose the car is going at top speed. To stop it at once or to turn it at once will be attended by disastrous consequences. The talk then turned to the name of God, and Bhagavan said, talking of all mantra, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Aham is the first name of God. The first letter in Sanskrit is He, and the later He, and Hara both includes everything from beginning to end. The word I am means that which exists, self-shining and self-evident. I am, Atma, Aham. All refer to the same thing. In the Bible also, I am is given as the name of God.
Om Name Bhagavata Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. La seule lettre Om brille à l'intérieur de cœur éternel, de lui-même. Comment peut-il être écrit? Bhagavan Sri Ramana. Ramana n'a pas de Jayanti propre, car il n'est pas né. Le soi réel intemporel, en nous. Donc ce que nous appelons Son Jayanti est seulement notre Jayanti. Notre naissance en lui, notre réel soi. Cette naissance nous est garantie. Sa sincère dévot, parce qu'il a regardé sur nous avec grâce. Ramana est le sans forme, sans temps, et Arunachala, sans espace, qui danse comme le je, dans le cœur. Il a gracieusement pris une forme, afin que nous puissions être libérés de l'attachement de forme. Il n'est pas une entité géographique, mais le Brahman sans mobilité des Upanishads. Grâce est son essence, et par grâce, il a devenir notre gourou. La grâce n'est pas simplement à Tirunamala, mais réside dans le cœur. Le cœur est la vraie Arunachala. La puissance de sa grâce est infinie. Elle est invincible. Par son regard, nous avons été pris dans le filet de sa grâce, et il accomplira son travail. Il n'y a pas d'échappatoire. Sa grâce est comme la lumière infaillible de le soleil, comme il dévore les obscurités. Ainsi la grâce dévorait l'ignorance et l'irréalité. Nous avons besoin de ne rien faire du tout, sauf donner notre libre consentement, que ce travail de grâce soit accompli. Pour donner notre consentement, nous devons réaliser la vérité sur le travail de la grâce qu'elle exige, en échange du cadeau de Ramana lui-même, notre très aimable mais totalement inutile faux soi, l'ego, qui nous fait penser et dire « je suis tel et tel ». Nous devons ardemment désirer de le gagner en payant ce prix apparent et abandonner cet ego à lui. Cette affaire très profitable est à gagner par la foi et la loyauté. Nous devons avoir la foi dans les enseignements de Ramana. Nous avons la foi, puisque nous savons que Ramana est le même Bhagavad-pada, Sri Shankaracharya et Sri Dakshinamurti, et que ces paroles sont les primaires Upanishads, d'où l'ancienne Upanishad eux-mêmes tirent leur autorité. Nous ne retournons pas dans le passé pour notre autorité. Nous trouvons l'autorité nécessaire dans Ramana seul. Bien qu'il nous parle de la quête de soi par la question « Qui suis-je ?», il a aussi nous dit que même maintenant, sans notre participation, la quête, nous sommes ça, et cela, et nous. En d'autres termes, nous sommes libres par la nature et toujours, que nous sommes Nityanukta. Les obstacles ne sont pas réels. Par conséquent, notre Jayanti n'est pas dans l'avenir, mais maintenant. Toutes les différences, y compris la bondage, karma, etc., est irréelle. Il se moque de nous pour avoir demandé comment nous pouvons devenir un avec lui. Disons qu'il est comme un homme dans Tirunamala, demandant le chemin vers cet endroit. Laissons-le rire de nous, car ce rire est plein de grâce et nous fera réaliser que nous sommes lui et que nous n'avons pas besoin de devenir lui. Il n'y a pas de place pour le découragement, pour le remords pour nos péchés ou la peur de l'échec, car la grâce seule existe et c'est lui. Si nous faire le mal, ne pleurons pas pour cela, mais l'oublions tout de suite et prenons joyeusement refuge dans sa grâce. Devons-nous faire quelque chose comme l'écureuil le Setebandhan? Eh bien, pensons à quelques de ces vérités dans la grâce de Ramana et l'abandon notre petit soi, 1 ou 2 fois jour, quand nous nous endormons et quand nous nous réveillons. D'autres fois, si le souvenir vient de notre propre gré, réjouissons-nous en cela. Si nous échouons, souvent en collé à notre programme, ne pas gaspiller les pensées dans le regret du péché, mais continuer avec foi en sa grâce. Ramana Jayanti by K. Lakshmana Sharma ou Mountain Path, janvier 1966. Les promesses et les affirmations de Bhagavan. À l'intention de ses vrais disciples qui se languissent intensément de lui, Ramana a mis fin à leur égarement et leur a conféré tout ce qu'ils désirent. Il a enchâssé dans leur cœur ses pieds, qui sont la matrice de la grâce. Puissent-ils vivre longtemps? L'essentiel du sens de la seconde strophe que Bhagavan lui avait demandé de traduire et que Ramana porte sur sa tête, car c'est son destin, les fardeaux de tous ceux qui se jettent à ses pieds et qui le considèrent comme unique refuge, que la paix vient naturellement à ceux qui vivent avec lui, qu'ils n'ont pas à avoir peur, quels que soient les dangers qui pourraient les menacer, et qu'enfin Bhagavan l'avait sauvé lui, Muruganar, en l'enjoignant de n'avoir pas peur. Padamalai, Muruganar, Namo Ramana. Namo Ramana. The one letter Om shines inside the heart eternally of itself. How is it to be written? Bhagavan Sri Ramana. Ramana has no Jayanti of his own because he is the unborn, timeless, real self in us. So, what we call his Jayanti is only our Jayanti, our birth in him, our real self. This birth is guaranteed to us, his sincere devotees, because he has looked on us with grace. Ramana is the formless, timeless, and spaceless Arunachala, who dances as the eye in the heart. He has graciously taken a form that we may be relieved of the bondage of form. He is not a geographical entity, but the moveless Brahman of the Upanishads. Grace is his essence, and out of grace he has become our Guru. Grace is not simply in Tirunamalai, but resides in our hearts. The heart is the true Arunachala. The might of his grace is infinite. It is invincible. By his look, we were caught in the net of his grace, and it will accomplish its work. There is no escape from it. His grace is like the unerring light of the sun, as it devours darkness. So grace devours ignorance and unreality. We need do nothing at all except to give our free consent that this work of grace shall be accomplished. To give our consent, we must realize the truth about the work of grace that it demands in return for the gift of Ramana himself. Our own too much cherished but wholly valueless false self, the ego, which makes us think and say, I am so and so. We must ourselves ardently desire to win him by paying this seeming price and surrender this ego to him. This highly profitable bargain is to be won by faith and loyalty. We need to have faith in the teachings of Ramana. We have such faith since we know that Ramana is the same as Bhagavad Pada, Sri Sankaracharya and Sri Dakshinamurti, and that his words are the primary Upanishad from which the ancient Upanishads themselves derive their authority. We need not go backward in time for our authority. We find the needful authority in Ramana alone. Though he tells us about the quest of the self by the question, who am I? He also tells us that even now, without our making the quest, we are that, and that itself is we. In other words, we are free by nature and always, that we are Nitya Muktas. Bondage is unreal. Hence, our Jayanti is not in the future, but now. All difference
including bondage, karma, is unreal. He laughs at us for asking how we can become one with him, saying it is like a man in Tiruvannamalai asking the way to that very place. Let him laugh at us, for that laugh is full of grace and will make us realize that we are He and do not need to become He. There is no room for discouragement, for remorse for our sins, or for fear of failure, for grace alone exists, and it is He. If we do wrong, let us not weep for it, but forget it at once and joyfully take refuge in His grace. Must we do something like the squirrel at the Sedu Bandhan? Well, let us think of some of these truths of Ramana's grace and surrender our little self to it once or twice a day when we fall asleep and we awake. At other times, if remembrance comes of its own accord, let us rejoice in it. If we fail often to stick our program, let us not waste thought in sinful regret, but go on with faith in His grace. Ramana Jayanthi by K. Lakshmana Sharma, Mountain Path, January 1966. Bhagavan promises and declarations. May all those devotees with great love also live long, who, coming to Ramana, get their desires fulfilled and planting His feet in their heart, set all their troubles at rest and attain peace. The gist of the second verse that Bhagavan asked him to translate is that Ramana bears upon his head, because it is his fate, the burdens of all those who throw themselves at his feet and regard him as their sole refuge. That peace comes naturally to all those who live with him. That whatever dangers may threaten his devotees, they need have no fear, and that Bhagavan had saved him, Muruganar bidding him not to fear. Padamalai, Sri Muruganar Swami, Namo Ramana.